Qatar is a small Arab state nestled on the northeastern coast of the Arabian Peninsula and is said to be the richest country in the world per capita, as well as one of the safest countries in the world. With less than an hour's flight from where I currently live in Dubai, I decided to spend the next 3 days exploring what life in Doha, Qatar's capital city, could be like for an expat. My name is Lamide Elizabeth and I'm on my journey to building financial freedom and sharing content along the way. One of the reasons why I really wanted to go to Qatar is because it is another country that has 0% personal income tax compared to 45% where I'm from, which is the UK. It has 10% corporate tax compared to 25% in the UK, and it has 10% capital gains tax compared to 24% in the UK. So in my opinion, just like Dubai where I currently live, Qatar could be a really good place to build wealth. I booked my tickets from Dubai International Airport to Hamad International Airport in Doha, and this was my first time using the airline Fly Dubai. The flight was about 50 minutes, so we were in Doha in no time. I'll be staying at the Ritz-Carlton Doha for the duration of my trip, so thank you so much to the team for having me, and I'll share more about my experience of staying at the Ritz later in the video. In my short time there, it was very clear to me that a lot of what life in Doha was like was shaped by their economy, so I decided it was time to take a deep dive into their economic history. And if you know one thing about me, I studied economic history at the London School of Economics, so this was right up my alley. Historically, Qatar was inhabited by nomadic tribes such as the Bedouin and the Bani Yas in the deserts of the Arabian Peninsula. They had a very traditional way of living and were deeply connected to the desert life, traditionally living in tents and moving across the desert for their cattle and their livestock. In the late 19th century and the early 20th century, Qatar became a protectorate of the British Empire. At this time, they had not yet discovered their oil reserves and were mainly involved in maritime trade focused on goods such as pearls, fish, dates, and textiles. Pearl diving was extremely lucrative and played an important role in Qatar's economy up until the early 20th century. And you could kind of see that influence in certain things when you were driving through Doha. For example, some of the lampposts had a little leaf and then it had like a pearl, or what I identified as a pearl, right on the tip, or even the man-made island is called the Pearl. In 1935, the Anglo-Persian oil company, known today as BP, British Petroleum, obtained a concession from the Qatar government to dig for gold, and they struck gold. Significant reserves of oil and natural gas propelled the economy, leading to high levels of wealth amongst a very small population, which is why they have such a high GDP per capita.
We just got finished up with the National Museum of Qatar, which was really good because it was like an intro to Qatar and how they kind of migrated from a desert-based economy, and then they found their oil, and then how much they have like developed since then. It's like less than 100 years. It's actually really impressive and amazing.
The reason why this history is so important is because it affects the economy, and the economy influences what jobs are available in Qatar. And so with oil and gas making up more than 60% of Qatar's GDP, it's no surprise that a lot of the jobs that are available were related to the oil and gas industry, for example, engineering. I had a look at job openings on Gulf Talent, and you can just see the array of engineering vacancies and related roles available. I also noticed quite a few roles in finance, particularly in accounting, and I spoke to some of you guys who also mentioned healthcare and education as sectors where they are hiring more and more expats. One thing I did notice is that there are 3 times more job vacancies available in Dubai than in Doha, but this is understandable given that Dubai is considerably bigger, but it's definitely something to bear in mind. Another thing that I noticed was that there were a lot less options outside of a work company sponsorship to have a visa sponsored in Qatar. And what I mean by that is in Dubai, there are so many ways that you can gain residency, that you can obtain a visa. You can do it as a freelancer, you can do it as an e-trader, it's so easy to just come here, set up your own business and issue yourself a visa and give yourself residency here. Whereas in Qatar, I didn't see as many options to do that. However, as with a lot of countries, you can actually get a golden visa through real estate investment. A key part of any expat's decision making is lifestyle and choosing where to live. So the next morning, I decided that I wanted to go and visit some rental units to get a gist of what it would be like to actually live in Doha. However, I wasn't sure I'd actually get the opportunity to have a look because it was so last minute. I was literally leaving the next day, but I gave it a shot anyways. I took you guys' recommendation and mainly explored accommodation options on the Pearl Island and in West Bay. I also heard that although Doha is cheaper than Dubai as a whole, the cost of renting is actually quite high, so I really wanted to check this out. I was actually able to find units for rent through Property Finder, which is also the website that you'd use if you were looking to rent or buy property in Dubai. A couple hours later, after reaching out to a number of agents, I was actually able to secure some viewings, so let's go. The Pearl Qatar is an artificial island spanning approximately 4 million square meters located off the coast of Doha. It's very similar to what the Palm is in Dubai. It offers a luxe lifestyle with waterfront living and picturesque views. The first apartment was in Viva Beria and the views and the amenities of the building was amazing, but I wasn't a fan of the inside of the apartment. It was quite dark and also had dark interiors, and I think this was partly due to the arches that were in front of the window. However, I did like the integrated kitchen, and the apartment was very spacious for just 8,000 Qatari riyals, which is like 1.7k a month, bills included.
Hey y'all. Like they clean up the filters.
Oh, okay. I like the kitchen though, for sure. Kitchen is nice, right?
Yeah,
I like the marble situation.
it's not dark.
I did prefer the second apartment so much more, but I did not like the furnishing. But they actually had the option to not have the furniture, which is what I would have went with. And this was only around 6,500 Qatari riyals, which is like 1.4k. What is this called? Is that the national?
Which one? The white thing?
Yeah.
That's the His Highness villa.
Oh, look at these villas. Huge, 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 huge. I am obsessed with this Pearl area. Like, it's just so nice. There's also a lot of development, I must say. So this is the building that we just came out of. The final apartment that we viewed was in West Bay. West Bay is situated along the coastline of Doha, overlooking the waters of the Arabian Gulf. It's known for its skyscraper skyline and for being the primary business district of Doha, with corporate offices, and also it's home to Qatar's financial center, as well as upscale residential options. And let me tell you, this last apartment was definitely the best. So it's actually called Bentley Luxury Apartments and Suites. So it was partly a hotel, but then there are also a few floors that were sectioned off just for long-term renters. And these apartments were also serviced weekly, fully furnished for the same price as the first apartment we saw. So 8,000 Qatari riyals, 1.7k pounds per month. Honestly, you guys, the lighting is not doing this place any justice. It was so beautiful.
And you know, I would recommend to go to higher floor if you have a balcony, but you know, there's no balcony.
Guys, the pool in this place is absolutely insane. Look at this. Ah, the view. Come on. In terms of what nightlife would be like in Doha, you'd have to bear in mind that it has a very small population of 3 million in the whole of Qatar. Combine that with a more conservative culture, I don't feel like the nightlife would be particularly popping, but I didn't go to explore it. I did ask quite a few people that I met, and they all said that there was some sort of nightlife. As with Dubai, Doha is extremely safe at night for women as well, which is a major plus, especially if you're like me and you've grown up in somewhere like London. Just like Dubai, Qatar looks amazing at night. Like, all the lights are out. This is not even picking it up.
We are about to get on e-scooters. I love an e-scooter.
Because this city seems to follow the coastline, I think we can ride this like pretty far down. So we'll see how close we get to the hotel. We're supposed to be having a dinner at STK at 8 p.m. But I don't know if we can make it because we have this slow girl who is so slow with her riding. One thing I did find was that the city felt a lot more walkable than Dubai. You've probably heard a lot of people complain how unwalkable Dubai is. Like, you could literally be following a pavement and then just end up on like the highway. We actually got those e-scooters and we went quite some distance, and I thought it would be cheaper than getting a taxi, but it was so expensive. For my 30-minute ride, I spent 100 Qatari riyals, which is like 20 pounds. In comparison to a lot of the Uber trips that we were taking were a maximum of like 30 Qatari riyals, which is like £7. Because the city is quite small, the journeys that we were taking weren't very far, so the taxi was really, really cheap. We actually used Uber, but there was a local taxi company called Karawa, like these blue taxis, and I would assume those taxis would be even cheaper. But when we tried to download the app, it didn't seem that you could actually get registered without a Qatar number, so we wasn't able to use that. But they do also have a metro line. I didn't actually take the metro line, but I would presume that most people who actually live there would probably just have a car or use taxi. One of the major differences that I picked up on was, and I was told this as well when I was speaking to you guys before I came, it is a lot more conservative than Dubai, and you can really feel that conservatism. One of the first things that I noticed was in clothing. Honestly, in Dubai, I do feel like you can get away with wearing anything. I feel free to wear whatever I want to wear in Dubai, and I don't feel any type of way about it. Whereas in Qatar, the women there were dressed very modestly. And I'm talking even the ladies who were Muslim and were wearing the abaya and the headscarf and stuff. It was very different to what you might see in Dubai, where women are really fashionable with it in Dubai. Like, you're going to see people in like a pink abaya, green. They'll still like wear like really nice heels, really like I don't want to say flashy handbags, but like designer handbags, and like it's very fashionable. Whereas in Qatar, a lot of the local women or Muslim women were like wearing just full black, just like the black, I don't know what the name is called. I think it is like a burqa. And some of them like without the eye split, like just fully like just blacked out. And the tourists as well were covered up as well, and you can tell that a lot of the tourists like arrived and went to go buy something or bought something for the trip, because you could we looked weird. Okay, and I would say that conservatism, I saw it in other ways as well. So obviously Qatar is supposed to be one of the richest countries in the world, right? When you ride around Dubai, just do a little 30-minute drive, you are gonna see a pink Rolls Royce and a silver random sports car, orange Maserati, gold. I've seen every single color of car that you can see, and all the flashy brands that you can think of, you will see it. Whereas in Qatar, I didn't see any colors of cars that were beyond your usual black, white, grey. I'm sure there are some, because obviously I didn't go everywhere, but the cars were a lot less flashy, like a lot less flashy. Even when we went to nice places, for example, like the Bentley apartments that we went to, which was a very like high-end upscale residential place and hotel, the car park was very modest. And like, even if I just go to my apartment's parking lot downstairs, the cars there are not going to be modest. They're very, very flashy. So I feel like that was a major difference. Related to that as well, the work week is from Sunday to Thursday. So Friday is like the religious day, so it's a weekend, and then Saturday is like our Sunday. Dubai used to be like that a couple years ago, but I guess to kind of maybe align themselves more with the rest of the world, the work week is from Monday to Friday. Instead of just hearing from me, meet Tony, who is an American expat that has lived in Qatar for over 10 years. He moved over as a financial controller for Ford and has since retired and has his own home aquarium store in Old Doha port.
Being an expat is very advantageous to anyone that comes into the country. Number one, they take care of your health care, so you don't have to take care of that on your own. Number two, they take care of your accommodations, so your accommodations are paid for. Number three, your expense for traveling from home to work is paid by them as well.
Oh, this is from your company, right?
Well, this is, yeah, so any company here, if you work in Qatar, you're being taken care of above and beyond anything. So when I'm in the States, I pay for my housing.
Right.
I pay for my medical.
Right.
I pay taxes.
Right.
Here, you don't pay taxes. You don't pay for your medical. You don't pay for your accommodations.
Right.
And the other great thing about being an expat in Qatar is everyone speaks English.
Yes.
Yeah.
So even though the national language is Arabic, English is more spoken than any other language, because that's a form of communication. It's probably not as fast as Dubai, but it's not as slow as it may seem.
Okay.
One thing I do admire about it, look at the streets, look how clean.
Right.
You can't, I mean, really, come on. There's people cleaning the streets all the time here.
Yeah.
All the time. and there are no weapons.
What about real estate investment in Qatar? Is that something that you would advise? Or is it a bit too...
Not really, because you can't live here unless you're sponsored. You can't live in Qatar unless you're sponsored, period. So what happens? You buy a piece of property, let's say it costs you $2 million. And you could only buy property really right now is like in the Pearl, anything that's man-made.
Ah, okay.
Because this is Qatar's land, so Qataris get to live here.
So overall, I really enjoyed my experience in Doha, Qatar. I'd highly recommend anyone who's thinking of going to go. It is not going to be like Dubai, but it's also good to see like what other places in the Middle East are like, because I think Qatar is probably a lot more representative of what places in the Middle East are like as opposed to Dubai, because Dubai is unique. I thoroughly enjoyed my stay at the Ritz-Carlton. That was where I stayed for the 3 days, and honestly 10 out of 10, cannot fault it. My room had incredible views, and it's one of those hotels where you don't actually have to leave to have a good time there. So they had at least three restaurants on board. They had Cell and Miel, which is like a Parisian style restaurant. They had STK, and they also had the B Lounge bar. So there were so many restaurants there. They had an indoor pool, outdoor pool. They had a whole spa section. So it was a really good place to stay. I'd highly recommend it. Guys, that is it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you made it this far, please give it a thumbs up, whether you liked the video or not, because it took a lot of effort. And here we go with the race car. It took a lot of effort to make this video, so I'd really appreciate if you can hit the thumbs up, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye.